Good afternoon, I'm Drew Holley with BIS Benefits. We are going to briefly talk about workers' comp in Georgia, or workers' compensation insurance. Different terminologies, one's just a little bit shorter, but workers' compensation or workers' comp means the same thing. So in the state of Georgia, if you are a small business, you are required by law to offer and pay for workers' comp insurance at a certain level. 3 employees, 3 W-2 employees, not 1099, and you can exclude yourself if you're an owner of the company. There's all these little minutia fine print. So a lot of these companies with 10 employees or more out there, they pretty much in the state of Georgia, if they're headquartered, cover workers' compensation. What does workers' comp actually cover? Essentially, it is going to cover a claim if your employees get hurt on the job or doing job-related activities on behalf of you as the employer. A broker can shop out different types of workers' comp insurance, and there are hundreds in Georgia that cover this. And depending on the type of work your staff does or doesn't do, it's going to give you a different rate. So an extreme version, a CPA's rates are going to be a lot different than coal miners, all right? So the more risky and health risk, someone that installs power lines, their workers' comp insurance, because you're getting in high heights and the danger of falling, as opposed to an office worker where the danger is carpal tunnel. There are things that your broker can do to help save that money. One can just be classification. Depending on your industry, what you do, you could be hiring people, and your small business may have salespeople, but then you might have operations people, and then you might have workers that are installing out in the workforce. If your company has grown or you've made acquisitions or expanded, if you're not careful, everyone could have the same classification code and you could be overpaying for all that workers' comp for everyone, whereas certain employees could have a lower risk profile based off the type of the work they do or not. So a good broker, if they were to ever shop out a rate, they should look at the policy and then they should ask questions of what your workers do to see if the classification lines up, because it might have lined up 5 years ago, but maybe not now. And it's very common, we find at BIS, when we get a chance to review small business workers' comp insurance, at a minimum, either there's some classifications are not right, or worse, there's some employees, especially with remote work that's really exploded since 2020, there's some employees that could be living in another area and not necessarily classified correctly with the insurance company, and you could be at risk of a claim not paying because you're not disclosing to the insurance carrier that employee no longer lives in Georgia. So that stuff matters. So it's a general idea of what workers' comp in Georgia looks like. We would love to talk to you about this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at bisbenefits.com.